All right, guys. Joining us on the line right now is a former ECW alumnus and one of the original ECW members, and a guy who's been in this business for quite a long time, and I don't think anybody really realizes that this is his 28th year in this business, and a guy who really deserves a lot more respect than he gets, and I'm not saying that just because he's on the line who probably could beat me up. That is the one and only Chris Hamrick. Chris, are you with us?
Yeah, man, I'm here.
Great, man. It's great to have you on the program, and how you doing tonight? What you up to?
I'm doing good. Just laying around relaxing, chilling.
Very good, very good. Now, I want to jump right in with things here and talk to you about a couple things that are going on right now. And as I'm sure you're aware, there's a big shakeup going on in wrestling right now. People are kind of hoping, I think probably maybe false hope, but hoping that maybe we'll see a little bit more juice pumped into the business with TNA getting Hogan and having possibly a Monday night deal and all that. How are you feeling right now about the direction of wrestling? Are you optimistic?
I just don't understand how Dixie Carter could put money in the shit that killed WCW. I mean, you got Hogan, you got the Nasty Boys, you got Brutus Big Cake, you got, all the shit that killed WCW. So, I mean, how's it going to be any different now? Or it's just, hell, they couldn't work back in WCW, so they damn sure can't work now.
So you're not one of the optimists who are thinking that the star power is going to bring TNA into the next level?
No. Hell no. How long before you see the Nasty Boys job the Motor City Machine Guns? I mean, it's complete bullshit. Hogan's bullshit. I just, nobody's ever going to top Vince. Never. And, and in my opinion, all these guys that jumping from, straight to TNA and all that bullshit, what are they going to do when Vince buys it out in a couple of years?
I got to say that's actually been something I've been thinking about is it seems like the only place you go where you have any kind of legacy that really lasts, unless you're ultimately Sting, the only place where your legacy is remembered seems to be the WWE.
Yeah, I mean, he's the biggest company in the world,
Now, you say that now, and, you've worked for a myriad of different companies, and you've been around a long time. You worked for WWE briefly back in the early 90s as enhancement talent. I was talking about this as we came on the air. You've been there. You've done things in more recent years with them as well. You've worked with TNA. You've worked with ECW during its unfortunately dying days. What is it going to take for there to be the excitement that there once was about the professional wrestling world once more?
I mean, back when WCW and WWF was doing the Monday Night Wars, that was the best wrestling around on TV in a while. Now, as far as wrestling, even in the dying days of ECW, I don't think anybody could touch wrestling as far as ECW. Because, I mean, the guys went out there, and you could tell when a guy goes out there and he busts his ass because he loves the business and he loves what he's doing. And then you can tell the difference between when he's getting a fucking paycheck.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that entirely. And I was watching ECW. I grew up in New Jersey. I was in the heart of it, really. I mean, I was on sports. I was tuning in the sports channel at 2 a.m. to watch it and all that. And, from 94 onwards. And even in its quote-unquote dying days when it was, we now call it the dying days. We didn't know it then. The wrestling in and of itself was far and away better than what the other companies were doing, even if they did borrow everything ECW brought to the table previously on the big shows or the main event Monday night shows. ECW was still putting blood and guts wrestling out there, and that's what people were still tuning into and still going to see.
I mean, it's just like I've told people before, fucking Evan Bourne, I know he was paid to say it, but he's a fucking idiot. So he was saying that his ECW was better than Paul Heyman's ECW. What the fuck is he watching? Because, in my opinion, the first match of ECW was better than anything pay-per-view ECW's put on since Vince bought it.
I don't think ECW's had a pay-per-view since that disaster. They tried it once, and it was just a complete disaster.
Well, I mean, think about it. Here's my philosophy on Vince buying ECW. I think that he just got pissed off because when people would do something cool, when, however rarely it was in WWE, they would chant ECW. And Vince didn't like it because at the time he didn't own ECW, and you've got them chanting ECW at a WWE event, and it makes them look like shit. So he bought it, and he watered it down so much that, you know, if somebody was to do something cool now, who the fuck would chant ECW? Nobody, you know? So, I mean, he pretty much accomplished what he wanted.
Hey, Pat.
James has said the exact same thing. Yes, it does. But James has said that same thing dozens of times on this show.
I absolutely have, and I mean, I came to that conclusion pretty quick because the second that they started running the, whatever you want to call it, the C show that is ECW now, the chance of ECW, anytime anybody took a chair shot, a table spot, anything like that, went away immediately. You don't hear it at all anymore. And I think that was his, you know, they call him a genius, and, you know, that's probably what he did.
Genius.
He's a genius. Evil genius.
He got what he wanted.
Exactly. Now, you being a guy who's been in this business for such a long time, you know, you worked for WWF in the early 90s as enhancement talent, and, you know, you got your big break in ECW, and most people probably, rightly or wrongly, remember you best for your days in ECW. Did you see ECW as your big break?
Oh, fuck yeah. I mean, dude, I started in 85, and I started ECW in 2000. It folded in 2001, right?
Yep, that's when it closed, yep.
Yeah, I started in 2000, and I really didn't even make any money in this business until I started wrestling for ECW. I mean, I sure wasn't making it in ECW, but, you know, as far, the more that I got my name out there and the more I was on TV and all, you know, that's when I started making money. So you got to look at from 85 to 2000, you know, I was fucking paying dues.
Now, do you think that's something that, you know, we mentioned Evan Bourne a little earlier, and I know Evan was on the Indies for a little while before making it to Vince, but do you think that's something that's missing maybe in the business today, the guys paying their dues, and maybe that's why they say the stupid things and do the stupid things they do?
Absolutely. You know, and it's like, I've got a wrestling school in Mooresboro, North Carolina, so if anybody from North Carolina is listening and wanting to be a wrestler, get in contact with me. Yeah, if you grow up and you don't learn to pay your dues, then you can't respect the business. If you can't respect the business, then you're not going to love the business. And, you know, and being able to work is a major part of the business. But, you know, these days, even respect and locker room etiquette can get you fucking, you know, blackballed.
Really?
It's just, you know, a lot of things that people don't realize. I mean, I'll give you an example. Back when we started ECW, you know, I pretty much knew most of the guys from WWF or Smoky Mountain, or, you know, I'd worked with most of them. But Easy Money didn't really know anybody, and he's kind of shy, so he would just go in and, you know, just kind of be shy and sit around and not say anything. About the third week there, Chili Willie, you know, said, man, your boys got heat. And I went, for what? He said, well, this is a family. And he don't go around shaking nobody's hand or hugging them. A family hug. You know, they shake hands and they hug. And, you know, he's just getting a bad rep. So, you know, I told Jason what was going on, and, he, you know, he started lining up a little bit, and then he started getting heat for other things.
I mean, I was a huge fan of Hot Commodity. I mean, you guys were such exciting athletes that were bringing, you know, such blood and guts wrestling, and Jason, you know, had a chance with TNA as well as WCW, and really was stealing the show in WCW before that company closed. And, you know, I think you guys really had something, and you were a tag team, and you guys could do singles, but you guys were predominantly a tag team. And obviously, the question I'm going to ask you now is, do you think that tag team wrestling, I know you also team with Tracy Smothers and XPW as Southern Comfort, do you think tag team wrestling as a whole is something that just completely has died a death?
Well, I can think, let me say this, let me think about it before I say it. Right now, I can think of two real good tag teams, and that would be the Motor City Machine Guns and the Briscoe Brothers. Really? Because, I mean, they know how to work a tag match. You know what I'm saying? A lot of guys just don't understand the psychology of working the tag match. I mean, like, I go to so many indie shows, and you know, these clueless fucks don't have a clue how to work a match. And it's just like, well, I'll give you an example, okay? Back when WWE came to Charlotte, me and somebody worked Deuce and Domino in their dark match. And, Steamboat was our agent, and he told the guys, he's like, guys, work as a tag team. Don't go out there and bogart the tag, show that you're working, as a tag. And I think once they started the heat, they tagged in and out once. Then, Steamboat's like, oh, well, okay, that was great,
And that's one of those guys is Snooker's kid, so you would have thought they would have known better.
Well, you would think so.
Yeah.
Well, neither of them have a job now, I think.
Yeah, I don't think neither one of them do, right?
Right. I'm pretty sure both of them were released.
Oh, yeah, well, too bad for them. So, anyway, tag teams, when you think of tag teams, good tag teams, you think of Ricky and Robert and the Midnight Express.
Absolutely.
Back when they were doing their tag matches, they couldn't nobody touch them, because they know how to work a tag match. They know how to make it look like that they need each other to win the match. And nobody does that now. Everybody wants to get their shit in, and they want to be the star. It's bullshit. It's just like, wrestling is what it's supposed to be. Is if I'm going over, if I'm winning, then if I go up there and I just beat your ass, who have I beat? I haven't beat anybody. But if I go up there and I make you look strong, and and you look competitive, and then I beat you, then it looks like I actually beat somebody. And nobody does that anymore. Everybody thinks that they've got to get their shit in. They just, they don't understand.
I don't think.
But I will say this, talking about playing dudes, okay? Richie Steamboat, who I respect so fucking much.
I love
because
Richie.
Just with his name, Steamboat, he could have been on probably the Raw roster, And he's just now going developmental, and he's probably been wrestling 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
and
he got trained by.
He chose.
Oh God, what's his name? Jesus, I'm drawing a blank.
Jeez,
I can't remember his name. Sorry, go ahead.
So he went through the Indies and paid his dues. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And he earned a lot of respect from me for doing that.
And he's ultimately going to benefit from it. He's ultimately going to benefit from it because I remember when David Flair got rushed to the top so soon, and he clearly wasn't ready.
And you know what? You really can't blame David because, if you listen to Flair shoot, Eric Bischoff offered him $10,000 to come and do it. Who wouldn't do that? Whether you were ready or not, you'd be like, well, fuck yeah. $10,000? Hell yeah. Even as bad as David sucked, he's still better than fucking Hogan.
Yeah. So we're gonna here we are talking about David Flair, and of course he was and on top of that he's also an 18-year-old kid who was offered a spot, and Richie was initially he wanted to be a race car driver, and now he decided to get into wrestling. I think it was George South or George Scott, I can't remember who it was, trained him, and they sent him over to Japan to learn with them over in Japan in the dojo for a couple months, and they sent him. They worked the indies, and he basically had to learn all the styles before he even signed to WWE Developmental. And I think that's why you're going to see a very vast difference in skill when he comes to the WWE than you do with a lot of the other second-generation guys that come in.
And too, like I told him, I'm like, well, Richie, you did it right because you've seen the good good crowds and the bad crowds, and you've seen the good workers and the bad workers, and you know what it's going to be like once you do get there. If you get thrown there just the first thing, then you never know what it's like to go through the bad shows or the fucking stupid-ass fucking promoters that don't want to pay you or, you know what I'm saying? He's paid his dues, and he's got some shit to learn, but they'll teach it to him, and he's good. He really is.
Now, we were talking about tag teams.
Fucking daddy.
Yeah, we were talking about tag teams, and we're also talking about older guys getting in the ring, and Ricky got in the ring earlier this year, and with that came the rumors that when Richie does come up to the main roster, that they might try a father-son tag team with him and Ricky. You think that would be a good or bad idea for him?
You know what? Steamboat looked good in the, WrestleMania?
Yeah, he did a WrestleMania match, and I think he did Backlash after that, wasn't it?
He had a tag match, not after Mania.
Yeah, that's right,
In the handicap match or whatever with Piper and Snuka, he did good. But, he wasn't in there for all the time neither. And, you could tell that he was getting blown up and he wasn't used to it, And I think him and Richie would be good. Yes and no. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
maybe if Ricky goes in and takes the heat and hot tags to Richie, and Richie, you know, comes in and does all the high flying shit, then it could work, you know.
It'd be interesting. Now, we have to hit you on this topic, and I hate asking about it, but, you know, the dying days of ECW, everybody in the wrestling world kind of, I think you had to be putting blinders on if you didn't see the train about to hit us when WCW was clearly in trouble and ECW essentially just stopped running. You know, what was the environment like at the dying days of ECW? And you being a guy who's been on the indies, what were you thinking when the big break was kind of coming to a close?
Well, I can't say that I didn't care, but I was getting indie books. And like I said, I was actually making money, you know, so I thought, you know, well, once it dies, you know, I'll make money and I'll ride it out as long as I can. And just for me to say that I was a part of that great fucking company is just an honor. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't tell you how excited I was when Tommy Dreamer told me and Easy and Julio that we were, you know, full-time jobs with ECW. Because, I mean, a lot of guys had tried to get in there and couldn't, you know. So just to be able to say that I was a part of that and, you know, on all the pay-per-views and all the house shows and all that, you know, it means a lot to me. It really does.
Now, we talked a lot about it, and, you know, Al Snow kind of dumbed it down a little bit, saying, you know, there was always hot territories. Like, I love Al Snow, by the way. I don't know if you do.
I love Al Snow, too.
He kind of dumbed it down a little, saying, you know, there was always hot territories. He likened it to the Mid-South UWF days of Bill Watts and that. But a lot of guys that were in ECW say there was never anything like it and never will be again. Are you of that thinking?
I don't think there will be. I really don't.
What was it about ECW that just made it? I mean, we're still talking about it, what is it, 9 years later now? 8 years later since it closed?
It was just, you know, like I said, I think it's that the people could tell that the guys were out there because they loved what they were doing. You know, some guys were getting rich, I guess. But most of the guys, you know, were not getting rich and still going out and busting their ass, you know, like they were getting rich. So, I mean, it really wasn't like a money thing. It was, you know, I love to show what I can do thing. And I think that means a lot more than just watching it and guys going out there saying, well, I'm getting paid tonight. Don't give a fuck what I do, you know?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I think that's absolutely true.
We actually had
Go
ahead, Pat.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, we actually had Nova on the show, and I think, was it him that told us that if there was a job where he could have wrestled for free, it was ECW?
Yeah, it was, absolutely.
Well, you know what? I won't lie to you. I'll tell you what I was making there. I was making $75 a night, weekends. We worked Fridays and Saturdays, and then I had to pay my own trans and our own hotel. So, you know, like if we went, me and Jason drove from Tennessee everywhere we went. You know, I think we got one flight, and it was like to fucking Cleveland, which would have been an easy drive. But then, you know, we had to drive to fucking Texas and Chicago and Minnesota and wherever. And by the time that, you know, we rented a rental car and we paid for our gas and we paid for our hotel and we paid for our own eats, by the end of the weekend, you know, you usually came home broke. But it's like I told Dreamer, I'm like, Dreamer, you know, I would do this for nothing because just the exposure that I'm getting and because I love being here. I said, but don't tell Paul that. I need my $75.
You need your $75, yeah. Yeah. Man, you also work for XPW, and a lot of people have varying opinions on XPW. A lot of people said, oh, it was, you know, Rob Black's sideshow trying to be Paulie, and, you know, I think there might be a little bit of validity to that, but what did you think of working for XPW, and how does it compare, if at all, to ECW?
Well, you got to consider, back when XPW came to Philadelphia, a lot of it was ex-ECW guys. A lot of ECW guys that, you know, pretty basically everybody that wasn't under contract was Vince. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it was kind of like, you know, hanging out in the same place. You just didn't have Dreamer and Nova and guys like that. But, I mean, you had like Danny Doran, Chetty, Guido. Who else was there? I think Simon was on a couple of shows. So, I mean, it was basically the same thing, you know, and like Rob Black told me one night, He's like, everybody thinks I want to be the next ECW, and I don't. I just want to run a good show. And I think he did, I mean, people can put him down just because it was porn money or whatever. Same thing with Billy, what was it, Firehawk?
Who's that? Is that the Wrestling Society X guy? Or?
Cyberspace. Remember Cyberspace?
Yeah.
Okay, people put down his shows because it was stripper money, or I forget what it was. But really, I mean, who gives a shit where the money comes from? If the guy's willing to come and put on the show with you and bring in talent that you're not going to be able to see on any other indie show, then why the fuck are you going to complain about where the money comes from? If it don't come from you, who gives a fuck?
That's true. And what was the lock? I've heard some various stories about the XPW locker room with the porn girls. Was it a different environment when they tried to use the girls that were in the adult films, shall we say, as valets and things like that?
Not really. I mean, there ain't a lot of girls in there, stripping or giving people head or shit like that. Damn it. I mean, they were all good girls, man. Like Lizzie Borden was a sweetheart, and she took some stupid bumps to be, not even in the business as a worker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I had mad respect for her.
Were you surprised when the government came down on Rob Black the way they did?
I don't know. I don't know what happened there. Fuck. Was
it just another kick in the teeth just because you were making money and somewhere, and then another place was kind of going to dry up there?
I think so.
Yeah. And then there was Wrestling Society X, and we've had Sean Waltman on recently talking about it, and Chris Kloss, who was the ring announcer for both XPW and Wrestling Society X, are talking about it. What was your take on it? And were you surprised at all that it didn't ever really take off, or were you guys under the illusion that this was going to possibly be something?
No, because I thought they had too much going on at one time. They just tried to put too much into one thing.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, to me, CZW up in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I know. Yep.
The guys can go through plate glass and fish hooks and all. What's that got to do with fucking wrestling?
I agree entirely.
I'm sorry, I must have missed that training session in my class that day that we learned to fucking go through plate glass. That's up, guys.
Yeah, there's the headlock, and then there's getting hit in the head with the fluorescent light tube.
Yeah, I mean, that's just fucking idiot, To me, okay, here's my philosophy on that. Is any mark or any fan sitting at ringside can go in the ring and hit you as hard as he can with a fluorescent light. You ain't doing a damn thing that nobody else can do. But if you can go in and you can put a match together and you can entertain the people and you can fucking do it without getting hurt, or hurting somebody, and you can put some spots together and it makes sense and it entertains, then you're doing something that the people paying can't do. That's what makes the difference.
I agree. And, you were a guy that could do it all, really. I mean, you did the high flying, but you also did the mat wrestling, and you even have taken some table spots and some of the more hardcore things. Is there any misnomer, in your opinion, that if you do some of these hardcore moves that you're then viewed as just this hardcore wrestler?
Not really. Well, back when ECW folded, I had promoters come and they go, "Oh, you're that ECW guy. I can get you to do hardcore and, bleed and all that." I'm like, "Yeah, for extra money you can." And what? Well, I said, "Well, you just booked me to come and wrestle. And right. Why the fuck would I come and do the hardcore bullshit for the same price? Fuck you. No, I'm not. And I don't want to do that. I mean, it's just like when Kevin Kleinrock asked me if I wanted to do that, what the fuck it was that SPW had, the King of the Death match or whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck no, I'll go and wrestle. I'll get over with a wrestling match, but I'm not doing fucking thumbtacks and shit like that because to me that's not wrestling.
Now, when you see guys that never did that before start doing it, like I know Sting did it in TNA a few years ago where he took the thumbtack spot, and I was a little bit surprised. Were you real surprised to see guys like that are older as well taking spots that are pretty insane?
I don't know. I mean, maybe once. But, they couldn't keep doing it. Just like Flair, when he wrestled, who did he wrestle?
I think it was Big Show.
Big Show, and he took the thumbtacks.
That's right, yeah.
I popped huge for that. But, he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it on a nightly basis. There was no way. And people wouldn't expect him to, because Flair has a reputation of being a fucking worker.
Exactly.
And it's just going to show you, just like, if New Jack came in and tried to wrestle, and don't let him fool you, because New Jack can work. Back when he did Smoky Mountain before, ECW, him and Mustafa were workers. That's what they did. They worked. So New Jack can fucking work. But if he was to go out there now and try to work a match, they blew him out of the building, because he has that hardcore wrestling reputation.
Now, you guys, I saw a shoot interview you guys did together, or it was some kind of documentary, and you guys were hanging out together. I never would have thought that you and New Jack would have hit it off as well as you did, but I guess you guys were buddies in Smoky Mountain.
See, I wrestled New Jack his first Smoky Mountain TV taping, and I put him over like $1 million. I jobbed my ass off to him, and he's not forgot it till this day. So
Really?
people will say what they want to about New Jack, about he don't respect the business, he don't respect this. He does, and that says a lot about him, because he helped me get my job in ECW, and he helped me get my job in SPW, and, probably fucking helped me get my job in WSX. So, I love New Jack.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
And I wanted to ask you a couple questions about, we were talking a little bit about light tubes and things like that, and it made me think of the movie The Wrestler. Did you ever see it?
Yeah, I saw it.
What's the thing about that bothered me, maybe you could shed some light and see if we're on the same page here, is that they made it seem like the older wrestlers that have been doing it for a long time, that are out there, about to close it up. Like I guess he was supposed to be like a Hogan or a Jake Roberts, are getting in there at these kind of CZW-style shows and taking the thumbtacks and taking the light tubes and the crazy stuff and the barbed wire. And realistically, they just go out there and people are just happy to see them. Do you think that, maybe that was just done for, I guess, what do they call it, poetic license or something?
Cinematic effect?
I think it was done to prove the point that the guy would do whatever he had to do to get a payday. You know what I'm saying? That he was in that bad of a shape as far as money-wise, or, and he's thinking that this could be his last time in the spotlight, and, he's got to do what he's got to do. But to me, I thought the movie exposed the business, more than a lot of things have, as far as, like, showing how to get color and all that. People know that, how it's done, but they've never actually just seen it done, and then when he cut his head, I'm like, mixed emotions about that.
Now, really, you think that in the year, I think it was 2008 it came out, you think that at that point there was still stuff to still be exposed? Because, it was so, with the internet, and I think it was the Bret Hart and Vince McMahon thing that really drew people to the internet to find out what the hell was going on, and I think that was the beginning of everything just becoming so exposed that everybody knows everything.
They do, but, it's just like a magician, you know what I'm saying? That the shit's going to work, but you just don't know how he does it, and he's not going to come out and expose how he does it, because then the shit ain't worth a fuck. But, when the guy, pulled out the razor blade and it showed him cutting his head, and explaining that's what we do, I just thought that it exposed it just a little too much. Because, I can't really think of a film that's actually had a guy, that actually do it to show somebody that, oh, this is the way we do it. I thought that they could have left that part out,
Yeah, I like the old wrestling movies, like Grunt the Wrestling movie, where the guy kicked the other guy's head off or something, and then he was running from the law. That's the old school wrestling movie that was just ridiculous beyond belief. But
how about No Holds Barred?
No Holds Barred? Okay. I don't think Chris Hamrick liked the star of that movie, though, too much.
Who starred that?
That was Hogan. That was Hogan and Vince's movie that they wrote one night in a hotel room together.
Yeah, fuck Hogan.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about, and this might go hand in hand, you work for Jim Cornette, and Cornette has been in the news of late with his recent tirades. Have you heard or kept up on anything that he's been tirading about, and how accurate would you say he is?
I haven't heard it.
Okay, he went off on the TNA show saying that basically the TNA show was complete shit because all it was Hogan and his buddies hanging out.
Well, Duh, aren't we all surprised?
I guess you could say that. All right, man.
Suggest anybody who hasn't heard it go listen to it, because whether you agree with Cornett or not, it is hysterical to listen to him rant.
At the end of it all, he says if he still worked for that company, he would have gone in with a shotgun and taken them all out.
Wow, too bad he quit.
Oh, man. So let me ask you, here we are. You worked for that company, TNA, and they had you under the mask, under the Crimson Dragon, and I thought there was some legs to that if they would have, done something really with it. What was your opinion to be in the Crimson Dragon?
Well, here's how stupid it was, okay? I went and did my trial match. Bill Behrens or whatever the other guy's name, Bob Ryder.
Bob Ryder, yeah.
Well, they said, Jerry Jarrett's been looking at bringing a luchador in or somebody do luchador. Said, your moves, you'd be perfect. Said, do you have, would you be offended to that? And I went, am I getting paid? They go, yeah. Fuck no. So Bob Ryder calls me through the week and goes, hey, we're going to bring you in as Crimson Dragon. Don't worry, we have the outfit. So I get there. They have me a red leather outfit, just like the one I wore in ECW, just that don't have my name on it. That'll fool them. And a fucking white mask. So I'm like, fucking Ray Charles could tell this is me. So then, I wrestled the three-way with AJ and Jorge Estrada. Mm-hmm. And they said, well, we'll bring you back next week. We'll put you against Sonny Siaki. So I called High Spots, and I got Michael to make me a lucha outfit. And they used me one time, and after that, never brought me back. Now, the reason that I wasn't there lately is because little bitch Jeff Jarrett, we were over in England, and me and Steve Carino fucked his room up. All we did was just take the mattress, put in the bathtub, and just harmless shit, you know what I'm saying, a rib. And this little bitch got pissed about it. He called Bill Behrens crying about it, yeah, and said, well, they'll never work for me again. It was a fucking rib. He asked why we shit in his bed. Or maybe, Kurt Angle's wife or something. I don't know. Fuck.
Do you think that that's ridiculous? I mean, do you think that he's maybe taking it too personally then, I take it? Is that your opinion?
Well, I just think that, guys play ribs on guys, or they used to, It's just a fucking rib. I mean, it was harmless. It was funny. It didn't kill nobody. And, for him to fucking say that we're not going to work for TNA anymore because we did that, I mean, please, grow the fuck up. I'm sure that's not the worst thing that's ever happened to him in his career.
I mean, the guy's been around since, 86? I think he debuted for his dad. So
something like that.
Hadn't been over since. So, whatever. I'm not in TNA because I fucked Jeff Jarrett's room up. Or, I don't kiss Hogan's ass.
Oh, boy. Now, you've done some things with WWE in recent years. You had the illustrious opportunity to put the crown on Booker T's head. And
wasn't that awesome?
What's that again?
Wasn't that awesome?
That was, that's a career highlight right there. You can show that to your kids in, years to come. And then there was, you did this Triple H skit as well, I believe. Was there ever talk about bringing you in to actually work there, or was it always just like one-offs? No,
it was just always, come in as an extra, get a little extra payday on a Monday, No, the one time that I actually thought that I was going to get to work, they were going to have me to do a dark match with Sylvain Grenier.
Yeah.
And so Nova actually, told Sylvain, he's like, man, you'll love working Hamrick. So when we get there, Sylvain's like, hey, man, I'm not trying to be a dick or nothing, but this match is pretty much going to be about me because they're getting on me because I give the guys too much. I went, all right, fine, call it. So as he's calling, I'm going, oh, what if we, never mind. He goes, no, tell me. So I actually called a match. He's like, man, I can't wait to do this match. And he looked at Nova and he's like, man, you're right. This guy is awesome. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to get to show my shit now, and I had some pretty cool spots in there. And maybe an hour before the show started, Siobhan comes up and he goes, man, I don't think I'm going to get to work. He goes, Regal no-showed, and then they wanted him to work Rey Mysterio. So they got kiboshed.
Oh.
Wow.
Man, that really blows because, one of our favorite guests of last year leading into the Francine show that they did at the ECW Arena was Nova. And, I mean, that interview went about 2 hours long. It was a complete blast. He was so personable and so cool. And I mean,
he's cool. I love Nova.
Absolutely. So, I mean, if he was putting you over backstage, I would have thought that had held some water back there. But then again, look at what happened with him. He had all the heat in the world on his back, and for some reason they didn't want to give him a win against anybody. So, I don't know.
And too, I mean, winning ain't everything. And you get these guys that get jobs with WWE, and, they start getting just a little push, and then all of a sudden they think they should be the main event. They bitch about the spot they have. Dude, you can put me first match. I'd drop to the fucking referee the rest of my life, as long as I'm getting a payday,
Absolutely.
Because people don't, even when I was doing jobs for WWE back in 93, when people would see me at indie shows, they go, oh, I saw you on WWF, or I saw you on Raw. I wouldn't say I seen you get your ass kicked by the 1, 2, 3 kid,
Exactly.
So, I mean, nobody fucking remembers. All they remember is like, hey, I saw that fucker on TV.
Yeah, I mean, one of my guilty pleasure interviews from about 2-3 years ago was Jim Powers, and I think I saw him win maybe 3 matches in his entire 20-year career, and
that's more than I saw.
Really? Yeah, I mean, he didn't win that.
I don't think he's one of him and Coco Beware are like the two guys. I don't think I've ever seen them win a match.
I mean, it's like. It's just like the people that don't have no clue about this business, you got these fucking indie wrestlers now that have never been trained or, fucking, I don't know, maybe they watch Tough Enough and tell people else no train them. I don't fucking know. But fucking, they don't have a clue of what the business is about. Just like when ECW first folded, some guy brought me into North Carolina to, put his champ over or whatever. And, I don't give a fuck. And so I'm walking by this guy, and he's sitting with like 3 or 4 of his friends. He's like, hey, man, I'm going over to Chris Hamrick. And I stopped, and I went, yeah. I said, the difference is Chris Hamrick's making a car payment. You're making gas money. You go over me 7 nights a week, you fuck, because the only one's going to remember it tomorrow will be you and your Mark friends. So then I walked out. It ain't about winning or losing. It's about, and the way wrestling is now, well, more down up north. Down south, it's just fucking, they still want good guy, bad guy, no respect thing. It's just fucking good versus evil, as sad as that is. But up north, even if you lose, when we was doing ECW, even though we were supposedly heels or whatever, whenever we would do something cool, the fans give us appreciation. And that means a lot to me. If you could have a match, and even if you lose, and once you lose, the fucking, the other guy goes out of the ring and you stand up and they give you that little appreciation applause, then you've done your job,
I mean, look at you guys got that a lot. I remember there was a couple pay-per-view matches you guys tore it up, and the fans really seemed to dig it. And I think that's really cool. But at the same token, what also bothers me, maybe you can shed some light on this, is that when the fans sit there and you slip on the rope or something and they chant, you fucked up in unison, that always bothered me because it was like, could you do it? That's kind of disrespectful.
Right. Yeah, as far as the ECW fans, I thought they were the best in the world because, at that ECW arena, you didn't fuck off because if you did, they would mercifully boo you out of the building. And that's their right. If you're paying $35 for a ticket and the guy in the ring ain't entertaining you, then you have the right to voice your opinion. But as far as the you fucked up or, I think it was just fuckers that were trying to get over with the crowd, like you said, hell, they can't do it, but I'd just tell them, I said, look, shut the fuck up, or I'll come down and, watch you work at Burger King tomorrow, bitch.
I'll be honest, whenever I would see somebody slip off the top rope or something like that, I would actually feel bad for the wrestler. I'd be like, oh, that's poor guy. Something like that.
I mean, the hell with the concern of the guy that's in there entertaining you. You fucked up. Well, yeah, we already know that, asshole.
Oh, man. Well, I really enjoyed it.
Just the same, it was 10 times, just as good to get a holy shit. Like when I did Nova at Guilty as Charged.
That was a hot crowd. I mean, that was the last ECW pay-per-view, and we talked to him about that match, actually, and he was hot as hell when he came out there. The crowd loved him. I mean, he came out and he was the rock star of the night. Other than Rob Van Dam, I think he got the best pop of the night, too.
But when they started chanting holy shit, and Nova, I gave Nova a DVD of some of my shit, and he called me. He goes, Hamrick, he goes, just talked to Dreamer, we're working the singles on the pay-per-view. And I went, no shit. And he goes, yeah, get there early so we can come up with a spot for that Hurricane Run. I went, really? You're going to let me do that? He goes, fuck yeah, I think it's awesome. I said, hey. So, yeah, when those fans were saying, holy shit.
Absolutely.
And the only reason that it really meant a lot is because, I mean, guys had been there, 5, 6 years that had never done anything to get a holy shit, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then here I was in there less than a year and getting a holy shit on a pay-per-view and, in a New York crowd. So, I mean, that really made me feel good.
Absolutely. And again,
after
New York
that,
crowd.
I was like, no, the fuck, you can pin me now. I don't care. Why even go through the rest of the match? Just pin me.
You can die happy now, right?
Yeah.
And that was a good crowd. I mean, you got a lot of really good. That was a great match and a great crowd. And man, and the New York crowd, was that Hammerstein? I think it was Hammerstein.
Yes, well, I love that Hammerstein building.
Yeah, that was always. They were always the most critical, but also the most appreciative audience.
Yeah, but you know what? We sold it out 2 nights in a row with the tag team tournament, and the night after that. Mm-hmm. It was unbelievable.
Well, how the hell did it close? I mean, this is what we've always been talking about. Francine, going back 5 years, actually co-hosted this show with us. And, we always say, how the hell did it end up closing when you guys were still selling out every arena you went to?
Selling out everywhere we went. I don't understand it.
Yeah, it was,
I really don't.
I mean, is it just what Raven says? Is it just like what Raven says, that Paul obviously just didn't care anymore and just let the book slide? Or I don't know what the hell the case was.
I don't know if Paul knew that once he folded that he had a job with Vince or, what it was. I mean, I miss it. I really do. It's cool when you work for a company and you're standing there at the curtain and you're watching and you still go, holy shit, that was awesome. Like I remember one time I watched a match, I forget where it was Steve Corino against Just Incredible. And it was just an awesome fucking match. And I remember going up to Paul E, and Paul E intimidated the fuck out of me because, like, when I first started, he wasn't there. Dreamer, I did all my dealings with Dreamer. Every time Paul E would show up, I'd be like, oh, fuck, because I knew at a snap of his fingers I'd be gone. And, but he seemed to like me, so I had that on my side. And then, like, when I got hurt, they made me a manager. And, I told Dreamer one night, I'm like, Dreamer, I don't mind being a manager. Fuck, I'll help take the ring down if that's what y'all want me to do. I said, but, I'd like to work. And I gave him a demo, and I asked, he came back the next week and said he watched it. He said that he liked it so much that him and Paul was going to watch it that week. And so we were all sitting in the locker room. It was me and Easy and Julio and Joey and Christian. And Paul popped his head in and he goes, hey, guys, just thought I'd make a guest appearance, and closed the door. And then he opened it back up and he goes, Hamrick, watched your DVDs, fucking loved it. And then I started wrestling again. So, but I don't know what happened to it. And it's my own fault, too, because I was new to ECW, and I thought, and I guess I was still in the paying my dues frame of mind, because I didn't go out and do shit that I could do. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's going to be plenty of time to just go in and be, simple and do simple shit, and then gradually build up, the more longer that I'm in the company, which I guess was stupid on my part because I should have just went in and went full blast.
Yeah.
I mean, it still has some cool shit, even though that, I didn't do everything that I could do, but.
Oh, man. Well, I got to tell you, here we are in the year 2010, and there's 2 companies to work for now. One is struggling but trying still to climb up, and Vince is still the man and probably will be until he decides he doesn't want to do it anymore. And that's the state we are in the wrestling world, and there's independent promotions that are both good and bad across the country. Where do you see yourself going from here? What is the next step for Chris Hamrick?
Fuck, I don't know. Like I said on my Facebook, I'm starting to learn to kiss Hogan's ass so I keep a fucking job for life. I don't know, man. Just, doing the indies and doing what I do, and when people get sick of it, I'll fucking quit or whatever.
Cool. And you mentioned at the
beginning, as long as I can entertain them, I'm on, keep doing it.
And you mentioned at the beginning of your the interview that you have a school, and how can people find out and get in contact with you to find out how they can take part in that?
Well, they can go to my Facebook and leave me a message.
Sure.
Dude, I mean, I know I'm not the biggest name in the business, but I don't think you'll find anybody with any name credibility running a school cheaper than I am. I'm just trying to help people out, and because, to all the indie guys out there, it feels good when you've got a promoter from England, that's, willing to put money for your plane ticket and then pay you, a good bit of money and then bring you to their show. It shows that they got confidence then that you'll add something to their show. And that makes you feel good, It makes you feel that you really accomplished something that you wanted to do instead of doing these fucking stupid National Guard armories once a month in your hometown and be world champion. Ooh, that's cool. If you've never wrestled outside your home state, then I don't think you've made it. Or if it costs you more to go to a show than what you actually make, you've not made it.
I'm going to give you a line from, I was actually talking, and we never interviewed him yet on the show, but it was, I was talking to Bill Eadie, Demolition Axe, Masked Superstar, whichever you want to call him, and he said that he was working a kid that night, and the kid walked up to him and said, he was a wrestler for 3 years. And he said, oh, yeah, how many matches you had? He said, I had 28 matches. And he said, you've been working 3 years? You've been working a month. I thought that was a great line.
That is a great line.
Yeah, man, I got to tell you, it's been a great honor talking to you. Anytime you want to come back on the show, we always welcome you on, and I'm glad we hammered this out after we had that little trouble the first time around, but I'm glad we got you on, and if anything we can ever do for you, just give us a holler, hit me up on Facebook, and I'll put anything we want on the anything you want up on the website to help promote you and get your name out there.
Cool, man, absolutely.
All right, thanks so much. This has been Chris Hamrick here on the Interactive Interview on WrestlingEpicenter.com, and Chris, thanks so much. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks. All right, guys, so here we are back on the Interactive Interview, and Chris Hamrick was joining us. What do you guys think of that interview? I thought that was awesome.
An interview. I really like the interviews where the guys just say things that are just really, where it's kind of like when we had Angry Alan Funk on the air, and he just rattled off these wild things, and you're kind of angry but kind of funny, too, and I just really enjoyed it.
Wow, what that's kind of why I was so quiet during the interview, because it's not that I think the best effort I can do is because I'm such an idiot sometimes, just sit back and let the guy tell his story and just let him, go on and go wherever he wants to go with his, stories and, history in the business. And, like I said, he doesn't have the biggest name recognition, but, man, he has a hell of a story to tell.
I mean, we're talking about it, like I said, we're talking about a guy here that's been wrestling since he was 16, and apparently, according to his Wikipedia page, we didn't ask about it, but apparently he got a wrestling ring for his birthday when he was 9 years old. And I don't mean like a Hasbro wrestling action figure ring. I mean a legitimate wrestling ring in his backyard, and I thought that was awesome. If I had a wrestling ring when I was 9 years old, I'd still have a wrestling ring right now, and it'd be set up in the backyard. I'm not kidding. I would never get rid of that thing. I would have taken care of it with a rag and washed it down every night,
Oh, I'd have been bumping all over that thing. It wouldn't even be around today. It'd be broken by now.
You would have Big Show and
Big Show Lesnar did.
Yeah, you would have done that too, huh?
Yeah, I would have done a friggin' frog splash off the top of a tree under the ring. All kinds of crazy stuff. Not really, but
I've broken a trampoline doing crazy shit like that.
Oh, that's nice.
I don't think it was me that did it. It was what happened is we have really weird weather in Arizona where it's hot all summer, but then when it gets cold, the concrete kind of creases a little bit and cracks a little bit because it's so freaking hot that it looks like it's going to melt, the concrete. And then it gets cold at night to like 38 degrees. So the concrete kind of contracts and expands and just cracks down the middle. And the actual tarp of the trampoline, the fabric got weak. So one day I got on there and I did one of my shooting star presses. And yes, for those who are wondering, yes, I can do a shooting star press.
I want a video of this.
And the thing went, pew! And I went, what the fuck was that? And I looked over and a spring popped off like a cannon and shot into the metal fence that was right next to it. And I was like, oh shit, this might not be safe anymore. So.
Oh, 38 degrees. I feel so horrible for you, James. For the past 2 weeks, I've been a -10 for a high. 38.
If it makes you feel better, it was 70 today.
I'm going to fly to Arizona and smack you in the back of your head. Yeah, I cannot stand warm weather people to start complaining when it's just a little below, when it's just a little bit chilly. It's like, oh man, it's 40 degrees. I'm dying. How can you stand it? It's like, for the love of God, shut up.
No, man, you say
it's actually
that.
going up, where I am, it's actually going up to 50 this week, and that's been our high for the last, 2 months.
Yeah, so.
When they had the playoff game, and that was an awesome game, by the way. I don't care what anybody says. That was an awesome game with the Cardinals and the Green Bay Packers.
It was an awesome offensive game. I tend to not like games where the defense just completely melts down and scoring points becomes easy as hell, but that was the finish. That was a hell of an ending.
Well, I'll tell you what. They didn't deserve to win.
You don't.
Yes, you don't lead by 17 points going into the half and then come out and look like you're going to lose it. They didn't deserve to win, but it was a hell of a finish. And
they also got away with a face mask at the end, even though, I don't like to whine about those things, but they did kind of get away with a face mask on that last sack. I mean, I'm going to be pulling for the Cardinals all the way for the NFC now, so I don't care.
They're going to rock New Orleans like a hurricane. Whoops, sorry, I didn't say it.
Oh,
dude.
Something you not know, ladies and gentlemen. James Walsh does not want the Saints to go to the Super Bowl because he fears that they will make it all about Hurricane Katrina, which they will. I will admit that. If the Saints ever go to the Super Bowl, they will show nothing but Hurricane Katrina footage. But here's the thing, James. Wouldn't you just want to get it over with this year instead of waiting like another 100 years when they can take advantage of it?
Not really. I mean, here's my take on that. The Cardinals last year, when they made it to the Super Bowl, and that was partially luck and partially being taken too lightly by their opposing teams. When they were going there was talk on the news a little bit, and it was shot down by a lot of the team members when they tried to throw Pat Tillman's name into the mix. And it's like, dude, he's not been on the team in 5 years. It's sad that he died, but it has nothing to do with it. And it's the same thing here with the Hurricane Katrina. They might have a hell of a team, the Saints. In fact, we all know they do. And quite honestly, I'm expecting them to completely blow out the Cardinals this week. But I'm willing to watch it. And
I'll be honest, I think they've looked beatable in the last few weeks. They haven't looked too good to me. I wouldn't be surprised
lost in the past couple of weeks, actually. But
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the Cards beat them.
I think it'd be awesome if they did, and it would be a horrible end for their season, the Saints. But
I was one of the ones I was thinking they would go undefeated. They were looking unbeatable there for a while.
And then they started getting beaten up by, what team was it that almost beat them? The
Redskins.
Yeah, the Redskins had no business almost beating them.
And quite frankly, the Redskins got screwed on a lousy call.
Oh, they did. I think that was to preserve the perfect season. I do believe that there is some of that goes on with the officiating. Never let the rules get in the way of a good story.
It doesn't matter because we all know that the Dallas Cowboys will win the Super Bowl and make Patrick Kelly rip his heart out.
Yeah, I might. If Dallas goes all the way, you will probably never hear from me again. I'll be dead.
And I got to say this. That reminds me, Pat, can you pull yourself together and pull for Brett Favre this week?
No, yes, I have to. The Vikings have to win this week. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good. I've been pulling for Favre all season, and the fact that I'm resting happy the fact that he outlasted Rodgers in the playoffs.
I was hoping they'd meet in the playoffs. I was pulling for the Packers last week because I was kind of hoping they'd meet in the playoffs.
You bastard.
No, I'll be honest. I was upset that the Cards and the Packers were playing each other because I was like, man, those are the two teams I want to win in the NFC. Like, of all the teams left, those are the two I'm pulling for, and one of them's got to go already.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with the Cowboys and the Vikings, and I think it'll be a good game. The Vikings have been falling apart the past couple of weeks, but they seem to get it together that last Monday Night Football game, and that was awesome. And they ran over the Giants. I know that's a sore memory, but that was.
Thank you, Dave.
Well,
I want to ask you about this comment. At the end of the Jets game this week, and we are going to get to Raw because I want to be done here at about 20 minutes, but at the end of the Jets game, one of the commentators, and I can't remember who it was, I had it on the tip of my tongue before we got on the air, but now I've completely forgotten it. I'm remembering all their old wrestling shit. And by the way, for those who are wondering, I'm sitting back in my chair. All the questions and comments and going with the flow with Chris Hamrick, and this is not me tipping my hat or tooting my horn or anything like that. All of it literally came from the tip of my head. There was no format. This was all just bullshit.
No, I wasn't even sure the interview was finalized until about 10 minutes before we started, so.
Yeah.
Format.
Yeah.
What's the format?
Exactly.
We don't need no stinking format.
Yeah, we're like Eric Bischoff on TNA. We tear it up and then we put our own format in.
Yep. And then people theorize that that's why the first hour of that show sucked.
No, I didn't think the first hour was that bad. I thought the first match was bad.
Yeah, and that's all that was bad. And that match was only 3 minutes long. Everybody made a big deal about it. It was like the match wasn't bad. It didn't have enough time to suck. But
well, the ending was just such a disaster that it was. Yeah.
The match was like, what if at the beginning of Rocky they ended after he fights Spider or whatever his name is. I mean, that's basically what it was. It didn't even, like we said, the story was just starting, and then boom, the credits rolled.
Yeah.
And
here's the thing I wanted to mention. At the end of the Jets game, one of the announcers says, "Don't close the doors on Giant Stadium just yet." Is there any scenario whatsoever where there'll be another football game at the Giant Stadium?
Let's see. I think the Jets the lowest seed left.
I believe they are. I mean, they shouldn't have made it to the playoffs. I can't fathom how they did. They got in because there were teams that gave up. Yeah.
They did. I'll give them credit, and they beat the Bengals. So I'm trying to think. Baltimore.
Another reason I was glad to see that is because I didn't want to hear no spirits of some guy who jumped on the back of his girlfriend's truck was helping the Bengals win. It's like, come on now. I don't want to hear that crap. I feel bad that he died, but come on now.
James, I feel-good story. If there's a feel-good story to be said, he will hate it.
Oh, it's not so much that. I think it's more he doesn't like somebody's death and a tragedy being tied into a sporting event.
No, that's exactly what it is. It's not that I don't want a feel-good story because, I mean, I'll be honest with you. If anybody wants to see a really good feel-good movie, watch The Blind Side. That's an awesome movie. I mean, I didn't expect to like it, but it's actually very good. It's not that. It's the whole tragedy being built into sport and trying to make a game that's already based on human drama because it's competition, which is what people don't seem to realize. It's already based on human drama. Trying to use things that have nothing to do with that game to build that drama. I don't like that kind of stuff. Just let it be a game between two teams that work their ass off all year to put on this game here to see who's better. That's why the game between the Packers and the Cardinals was so great, because both teams worked their ass off that entire game and the entire season. And when he missed the field goal, all you can think of is, wow, that kicker just might have ended their season for them. I mean, it was human drama based on the fact that it was the playoffs, and that's all it needs.
Okay, James. Going back to the Jets, I think I'm not 100% sure on this, so don't quote me on this. I think the Jets are higher seed than the Ravens. So if the Ravens and the Jets somehow make it to the championship game, then the game would be at Giant Stadium. I think. I'm not. Once again, don't quote me on that, but
that'd be cool. So I got a confession to make now. That we were talking about Minneapolis and Minnesota, and that's where Raw emanated from this week. And Cena immediately got heel heat when he came in and said something about the Packers. By the way, it's the Vikings that play in Minnesota there, John. But yeah, I got to be honest with you, and you guys are probably going to hate me, but I laughed my ass off and applauded Cena's promo this week on Raw.
What did he say? I don't even know what happened.
Standing in the ring with Mike Tyson, and what does he reference? Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Awesome. Applause. Soda Popinski. Piston Honda. Awesome. Raging Bull. Then you finally beat Super Macho Man, and who do you have to fight? You have to fight Mike Tyson, and he just barely has to look at you, and you fall down. And anybody who was in our age group played that game for a year straight trying to beat the guy.
Couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it. No, I couldn't do it. I did do it, but I had to get a Game Genie to do it.
You guys aren't going to believe me with this, but I did it my first time through.
Really?
I actually said...
Pat, real quick. Sorry, Nick. I'll let you go in just a sec. He looked at Sheamus, and he called him Soda Popinski.
Wow.
That had me laughing my ass off. I love that. Anyway, sorry, Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, my cousin told me for a year this is the hardest game you're ever going to play. I beat it my first time through.
You beat Mike Tyson the first time through.
Yeah. What was it? I actually yelled at my cousin, said, God, this is a boring game, and then he got mad at me.
Next, you're going to tell me that you beat Silver Surfer your first way through.
Who's Silver Surfer?
Silver Surfer. It was a game on Nintendo.
I know. No.
Is that the one where you had to jump over things and you end up in the tar and all that crazy stuff?
No, it's like a side scroller kind of game where you're the Silver Surfer and you're shooting at stuff. It's very basic, but you have no life bar. Everything kills you with one hit, and it's impossible. I can't even beat one level.
Yeah. Well, I was making it all up. I've never even played Mike Tyson Punch-Out.
See, you had me going. You didn't have to lie. You could have just kept on going with the lie, and I would have believed you.
Yeah,
I totally. You had me bought.
I like to ruin people's days.
I mean, I played the game. I mean, still remember vaguely the password to that. It was 007 was the password to get to level 4 or whatever it was, because they didn't have memory cards back in the old days of the NES, so you had to remember these ridiculous passwords. That's what's wrong with the youth of today. Everybody saves phone numbers in their cell phones and has memory cards to save this shit. We had to remember up, down, left, right, BA, start to get 30 lives in Contra. What happened?
And you know what? I liked it.
That's the way it was, and we liked it.
It was better that way.
That's what's wrong with these kids. They don't have to remember this insignificant shit that we had to remember.
Okay, earlier I was on the phone with William Regal. Now I am on the phone with my father, ladies and gentlemen.
Whatever happened to just writing stuff down?
In my day, we didn't have computers. Our computer was our mind. You know what our Facebook was? We wrote notes to one another.
Oh, my God. I'll tell you what, though. Facebook is evil.
Why is that?
I'm not going to go into detail here on the air, but let's just say it's gotten me into trouble a few times.
No, is this another girl issue?
A couple girl issues, actually, but not just that. It's amazing how much trouble you can get into just for something you write on Facebook. You know that, James.
I don't get into that much trouble because I usually don't give a shit what people have to say if I do write something.
Oh.
For example, I've just posted on Facebook before the show started today. I wonder if overrated rappers will determine that Bush shook the tectonic plates because he doesn't like Haitian people. I don't care what reaction that gets. I just like watching what happens after I post it.
Well, everything is Bush's fault, apparently. Well, no, it's not anymore because he's not in office, so they can't say that anymore. Yeah, but getting back to Raw, did anybody actually watch Raw? I guess you did, James.
I watched
part of it.
I watched kind of like the last half hour, and is it wrong that when Mike Tyson said he was going to throw Hornswoggle into a wall, I was like, yes, do it, come on, Mike.
Well, I don't think any of us like Hornswoggle here on the Raw, but here on the line or whatever. But Jericho hasn't he been kicked off Raw 6 times already?
Well, I mean, it's the new Hornswoggle Chavo Guerrero. It's the new Damn. There was some television show called, I think it was called The War Next Door. It was supposed to be about a spy and his arch enemy living next to each other. And the end of the show would always be the spy would kill his arch enemy, and he would come back the next week alive and well. That is what Raw has turned into.
Basically.
Yeah, they will kill Chris Jericho the next week. They will kill off Chris Jericho, and he'll be there the next week, no matter what.
Yeah, and I know it's terrible. And speaking of terrible, I'm looking at what their plans are for WrestleMania, and these are just rumors. None of this is actually confirmed, but I am scared to death that the main event of WrestleMania is going to be Triple H versus Sheamus.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be now. I mean, I do though suspect Cena will be added to the WWE title match, and I do suspect if he doesn't win it there, I think it will be Sheamus versus Triple H.
Holy shit, that's awful. I mean, if that match actually happens, can anybody oppose us anymore when we say that Triple H has way too much stroke and way too much power within the company? Because he picks all his programs.
Here's the thing. People, it's kind of the point where people are just giving the WWE the ultimate pass each and every week on everything. So you know what? Even where they say, look, Triple H and Sheamus. Triple H they go, yes, but Sheamus is an up-and-coming star. Think of how much he benefited from working with Triple H.
Yeah, but not
he's not an up-and-coming star, though. He's a WWE champion.
That's the problem. And again,
how far can you go after this?
That's the problem. That's like, I'm going to have to bring it down to the lowest common denominator, okay, guys?
Yeah.
All right?
Go ahead.
That's like nailing your date before the prom. Why even go? Who cares now? It's you already got what you wanted. You already got what you're going to be thinking about the whole time you're there. So what the hell's the point? It's over now. I'm going to go home and play Nintendo.
Well, because if you don't take her, she hits you in the head with something.
Come on, she's going to do that anyway. Have you read my Facebook page?
No. No, because I don't go on Facebook. You guys have scared me off it for life.
I tell you, it's the devil. Facebook is the devil.
Unfortunately, you'll be sitting there, and some evil thought will come to your head, and you'll have to post it on there, and then you'll offend somebody you've known for 25 years or whatever, and it's like, oh my God, how do I manage to do these things?
I think I'll just stick to Twitter. Just read Jeremy Borash's Twitter.
I read Borash's Facebook. He does both. I think he cuts and pastes. Yeah, I think he does. I think he does it on both. There is somebody on there claiming to be Michelle McCool, and I'd love to know for sure if it's her on Facebook. Because if it is, then she's leading these guys around by their dicks like, I don't know, like a dog on a leash. It's ridiculous. I mean, she is every day. It's, should I stay? I think I'm going to leave now. And they're like, oh no, please stay. And it's like, oh my God.
It's probably not her.
If it's not her, there are people on there that are interesting. Like it's her and Mickey James are on there a lot. You know, adding friends and all that, and occasionally posting stuff. But Michelle McCool goes awfully nuts with it, and I'm not sure if it's her. But if it's not, I hope they get her kicked off. Because,
well, I know some WWE superstars have Facebooks and stuff, but I mean, I know you would think that if she was going to do anything, she would probably do it on like that WWE Facebook ripoff thing they have.
Apparently, that's half run by the guys and half like storyline writers putting things in there.
Really?
That's what I've seen posted. I have no idea if that's true, but if that's true, that's kind of stupid.
Speaking of stupid, and I don't mean to insult him because, you know, like I said, I like Jim Cornette and everything, but speaking of, you know, we were on the topic of all these gigantic rants that he went on, and by the way,
quick news on that. Cornette will not be joining us next week, but it's looking promising 2 weeks from tonight.
All right, okay. Guys, I'm going to hop off the line for like 2 minutes to go start my car so I can get to work. So I'll call that right.
You got to start the car because it's frozen, right?
Right.
70 degrees here, man. Come to Arizona.
All right.
Starts right away. Oh, shit, lightning. That was God telling me to shut the fuck up. Holy shit.
Stop mocking your friends.
I just looked out the window and I saw a streak of lightning shoot straight down at the floor. Oh, my God.
Wow. Did it make a noise or?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like, wow.
Where was I going?
I have no idea. I'm gonna hop off here too in a few minutes. But you were talking about Jim Cornette's rants.
Oh yeah, somebody sent me, and I'm sure you've seen it too, James. Jim Cornette's rant on WCW. It was on like an episode of Raw in 1997 where he ran down Eric Bischoff in the NWO.
It's like, hey Kevin Nash, you're 40 years old. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, how old are you?
Well, the funny thing about that is if you listen to it, he's like, guys like Ric Flair and Arn Anderson deserve to be the top of the wrestling business and stuff like that. And I was just sitting there thinking, it's like, okay, he just put over WCW's faces as faces, and he put over the heels in WCW as heels. Didn't he just help them and, like, give them free press? Kind of.
Absolutely. And Cornette, he always has some morsel of validity in what he says, but it just, you can't go along all the way with it. And that was always my complaint, is that I honestly believe that a lot of people that have the hatred of Hogan that they have, not necessarily Chris Hamrick, but the guys, the internet fans, just hated the Hollywood character because they never knew. I don't know. I think they bought entirely into the Hollywood character because he was so self-serving.
Well, it was. I say it all the time. That was the greatest heel turn of all time. Regardless of what you think of Hogan, I think that was the single greatest heel turn of all time.
Yeah, I mean, it was perfectly done. It was the ultimate babyface came out and finally turned it back on the people and said, after the reception you gave me, no, I did it for ultimately saying I did it for the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that makes him a bastard, an asshole. And of course, there's time to repent, and he did, and that was great. And now we're kind of in limbo. Now we got to see what kind of Hulk they're going to create in TNA.
Yeah, I don't think. Well, he came out dressed as Hollywood, which kind of surprised me, and I kind of like that. But we'll see where it goes. I don't know what his role at the pay-per-view is going to be. They keep saying he's going to be at the pay-per-view, but we don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah. Speaking of which, it is now lightning out. Yeah, I'm going to have to run here in a minute, guys. But I'm going to wait until Nick gets back on the line, and then we'll hop off. Yeah, I didn't really watch Raw that much. I did watch some of the matches, and I just kind of got fed up with it. I was more tickled pink by Big Bang Theory. That was a great episode. That was a great Well, I wanted to punch Sheldon in the face at the end. Oh, come on. Well, I can't say I was ever that dense to ever pass up on sure things. He's not dense. He's just asexual. He doesn't care. I don't think he... Okay. I think the problem with his character is that he's supposed to be not necessarily asexual. I think it's more of he doesn't understand human relationships. Mm-hmm. And the need for them. Like even friendship, they when they have to get him to do simple things, he has to be told that it's the accepted social convention. Right. So I mean, I think that's what it is, and that makes it. I don't know. I mean, he found the one girl in the world who probably would find a Green Lantern thing cool and passes it up. I don't know. You know what I think? And I'm going on a long shot here. I think he's holding out for Penny. He's holding out for Penny. Hey, that would be nice. I think so, yeah. Because I've been building up. I could go through the entire show and build up evidence of that he really does like Penny and he just doesn't know how to pull the trigger on it. Really? See, I never really thought about it that much, but that'd be a good way to go. Yeah. I like, and they always have the best chemistry together when they're on the show together. Yeah. And we've talked about it because they're polar opposites, but there's such potential there. I mean, that Soft Kitty song is basically their running gag. Yeah, it's great. And I was having a discussion with somebody else about this. I don't think any of the other characters even know about Soft Kitty. No, they don't, because it's always that's been sung to Sheldon either by Penny or by Penny to Sheldon. Yeah, interesting. Right. It's like they have their own little world together, and of course Leonard he's an idiot. It's not that he's every man. He's every man that's a dork. Is the problem. I mean, if you watch the show on Monday, I was sitting there ready to slap him. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Yeah, I've had that kind of argument, though. Oh, you have? Oh, absolutely, I have. anytime you have something you guys don't agree on, there's going to be problems. And in my life, it's the movie Van Helsing. I don't know why. It makes my skin crawl. It's like I get the feeling that this is some kind of evil movie. I can't watch it. It bothers me. And it's not that I'm afraid of it. I just don't like it. It makes my skin crawl. It gives me the willies.
Okay.
And, from that, she deduces that I don't like vampires and all that. It's like, no, I don't have a problem with vampires. I have a problem with the devil. I don't know. That's just...
Oh, then you shouldn't watch The Exorcist then, or The Omen.
I've seen The Omen. I don't have a problem with it. But I have a problem with disguising vampirism with fire coming from the floor. That's not a vampire. That's the devil.
Well, it's better than Twilight, who, their vampires...
The shittiest... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, their vampires get bedazzled when they step in the sunlight.
Their vampires are fine. They're allowed to go in the sunlight as long as it's cloudy out. Hey, why not? Why not?
My favorite line of that movie, and when I heard it, it angered me because it made absolutely no sense. Well, you see, my family of, the family of vampires, we consider ourselves vegetarians because we feed off the blood of animals. Last time I checked, feeding off animals is the exact opposite of being a vegetarian. Damn it, who wrote this shit?
I mean, for Christ's sake, vegetarians get violently ill if they found out that they drank chicken broth.
Yeah.
Not chicken blood, chicken broth. I don't know.
Exactly. It's
here. Hey, if I was a 109-year-old vampire, the first place I'd be is in high school.
He's graduated like 6,000 times.
Yeah, it's horrible. I don't get it. I don't understand this obsession. And it's not the vampires themselves, because that can be cool. Underworld is a good movie. It's a good series of movies. The second one sucks, but it was entirely sold on the fact that you had the first vampire chick in leather the entire movie. It was entirely sold on her fanny in leather. And that's fine. I have no problem.
I haven't seen any of the Underworld movies, so I can't say.
They're not bad. They're good stories. And the stories make sense, and it's nicely well done. I don't have a problem with those movies, and that's ultimately what kicked off this vampire kick. But
I think you could trace it all the way back to Anne Rice's stuff.
Yeah, you can, but then if you go back that far, you can go back to the late '80s when Guns N' Roses and LA Guns were dressing as vampires on the Sunset Strip, and the formation.
Vampires have always been cool in media. I mean, if you want to go all the way back to movies, I mean, the first Dracula with Bela Lugosi was one of the most important movies in cinema history.
Yeah, I agree. We have that on DVD here.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have the remake with Keanu Reeves doing a horrible...
That's a good one.
Doing a horrible British accent, yeah.
Yeah, terrible. That's Keanu Reeves, but the movie overall is pretty good.
Yeah. And then there was, what was it, the Leslie Nielsen one?
Yeah, that one was great. Nick, are you back with us?
Yeah, finally. I mean, I've actually been coming off and on. I've been trying to get you guys' attention because I've been coming off and on the host here for like 4 minutes.
I'm sorry. That's my bad.
Pay attention, Patrick.
I will, from now on.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, guys, I'm going to hop off here.
Okay.
So I'm going to hop over here, guys. I didn't really catch enough Raw to really judge it. I will be, and Nick will be happy to hear this, I will be watching Impact tomorrow night because I'm curious to see what they did. I've not really read the spoilers. I will be, in some fashion, watching the pay-per-view, and let's see what happens. I know they're not going live on Monday, and that'll probably be you guys' next discussion. But I'm hoping that there'll be some announcement of when they will be, because it's a necessity. We've had now, it's been 9 days since the impact that really rocked the wrestling world, and I got to say that some of the luster's unfortunately rivaling off and cooling off on us because there's not been that live shock value every week. There's not been that thing to look forward to because even tomorrow night doesn't feel that important because it's already been taped, and if I really wanted to know what's going to happen, I could just read it right now.
Right, and I'm sure Nick and I are going to talk about this once you're gone, but man, how much did it suck this Monday not having TNA on Monday night?
It sucked horribly, and I mean, I'm actually going to agree with James because they do need to go live now, and, I will say this, though, I was hearing a report, they're going to do it this Monday or this coming Monday. It's like, if you're going to go live, you at least you should announce it and then promote the living hell out of it. I would say go live sometime in February just because you can't say, hey, we're back on Monday nights without advertising because people may not know to tune in. I mean, despite what we all like to think, not every wrestling fan is on the Internet like we are trying to get news and information and doing their own wrestling talk shows.
Right, and from what I hear, the next set of tapings, it's going to be 4 shows in the span of 3 days. And who knows, maybe those 4 shows will be the last taped shows. Well, I mean, we'll have to wait and find out.
Well, part of that is because they're going to the UK this month. So I think they want to get Impact in the can and go, and just focus on the UK tour, which, traditionally that's one of TNA's strongest markets. They usually sell out there. They usually pack some pretty big arenas. So
actually, I remember reading a couple months ago that they were beating Raw in the ratings over there.
Yeah, I think they are. So God bless the UK, or God save the Queen, and knock on wood, the TNA does it again. My idea would be have it announced at Genesis that they're going live in February, or the Monday after the February pay-per-view, and then try to shoot for the moon again because, like James says, that luster is kind of wearing off. I mean, it was great last week, but things cool off no matter how hot they were at one point.
Yeah, and well, I mean, I thought maybe UFC would provide something different to go up against Raw. It didn't. I'll be honest, the show was not very good. Even I've even talked to MMA fans who didn't think the card was that great. So, yeah, it would be nice to have. I think we just need 2 wrestling shows on a Monday night to really spark things and get things going.
I mean, our good friend Eric Clancy made this point once. He said, with TNA, it's different because it's wrestling, and that's what Vince supposedly does best. That shoots directly to his ego, where maybe UFC and MMA don't do it because, I mean, in all honesty, he's been kicking Vince's ass for a couple of years now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, maybe it's got to be, something wrestling related to get him going. Who knows? Maybe TNA just needs to start. Maybe TNA needs to force someone to change their name to Ted Turner. That should get Vince going.
Yeah, well, something needs to happen because, you know what, after that Monday show, I really got my juices flowing, and I was really excited, and I said it again, once it was all over, I was like, I want more of this. Even if they just do, I can see TNA doing something where they go live from 8 to 10 and only have 1 hour up against Monday Night Raw. But whatever they do, it'll just be great to have 2 wrestling shows go head-to-head again.
I would actually recommend doing that 8 to 10, or in my case 7 to 9, just have the 1 hour head-to-head with Raw, especially because, okay, we got the 1.5 and that bit into the audience, but we really have to see right now how many people are sticking around, and are any more new fans tuning in. Is the buzz strong enough now? That's going to be the test. So I would say go 79 live on Monday nights every week, and just and see what happens. It's it's James made this point. It's like we're kind of at this point where we can't stall forever. We got to go for it now.
Yeah, and I think they have all the tools to go for it. I think they've got the talent. They've got hopefully this new creative direction they're going in. I thought they set up some very good things at last week's show. Hopefully they've got everything worked out. They know where they're going with everything. And I think they have the ability to put on a good show consistently. So I say go for it.
I mean, I've made it clear, ladies and gentlemen, almost always I'll pick TNA Impact as the better show. The only real exceptions may have been this past summer where, SmackDown was just so hot with Punk and Hardy. So, I mean, I always think TNA has to put on the better show. So I want them to go on Monday night. I want to be able to say to people, hey, yeah, that's a real wrestling show. That's wrestling. That's fun. That's entertainment. Unlike, this sketch-laden show where the leprechaun comes out and dances.
And we have a guest host every week. That doesn't... Which, by the way, Brett was not on this week. Did they give an explanation for where it was?
Apparently, Vince came out and said, Bret Hart, it's over. You will never appear in the WWE again.
Which, of course, means he'll be there next week.
Yeah, so, next week, and he'll be there to probably hang out with next week's guest hosts are.
Who are next week's guest hosts?
John Napoleon Dynamite Header and Don Crockett Johnson. I think he was Crockett on Miami Vice.
Don Johnson?
Yeah, so apparently some horrible movie studio executive is doing something like Brewster's Millions, where he has to lose a bunch of money, so he puts them in a movie together. And now they have to go on to promote that movie.
Holy shit, that's bad. That is bad.
And I think I deserve bonus points for referencing a Richard Pryor movie.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Richard Pryor is the man.
I think one of my, I don't know, you remember The Toy?
The Toy. Sounds familiar.
That was the one where a little white kid saw, like, Richard Pryor messing around in a toy store, and, like, the kid was super rich, so he offered Pryor a bunch of money to just come hang out with him. And there's a scene where Richard Pryor gets so fed up, he just leaves, he goes back to his wife, and then, like, the valet has to come get Richard Pryor to come back, and he offers him all this money that will save, like, Richard Pryor's house. There's a great line in there where Richard Pryor goes, "Now, me and my wife were about to make love. You can join us if you want after all this money."
That's lovely. Well, wow. See, I'm trying to think. Is there anything else we need to talk about? I guess Genesis is a Sunday, but again, we don't really know what the card is outside of a couple of matches.
Yeah, we only kind of know they'll try to throw the card together. I do know that a brand new tag team will debut for TNA tomorrow night.
Is that the Young Bucks, Generation Me?
Yes, formerly the Young Bucks, Nick and Matt Jackson, who, if you've ever seen them before, kind of just think the Hardy Boys in the mid-'90s, that young, good-looking, oh my God, what are they going to do next, high-flying-wise tag team, and apparently they're going to debut against the Motor City Machine Guns, and the report, here's actually I think what Jeremy Borash said on one of his MySpace or something. He said, quote, "Watching the Young Bucks and the Motor City Machine Guns, wow."
Well, now the funny thing about the Guns, I just read that Alex Shelley has herniated discs in his back, and so is he going to be taking time off?
I'm not really sure. I mean, right now, it may just be he's trying to work through it. I mean, because also right now, if you're in TNA, do you really think you want to take right now off?
Yeah. I mean, you know, sometimes you got to think maybe it'd be better if he did, but at the same time, I don't know. I mean, that might be why the Machine Guns aren't getting a title shot at the next pay-per-view.
Right. Well, that, and apparently, like I said, they had the Young Bucks had a dark match with the Guns, and apparently everybody was blown away with it. Like, they came back and, like, the boys in the locker room were applauding them.
Wow.
Which, for people that do not know the backstage of that business, when other wrestlers are doing that for you, that is a huge deal. I think Shawn Michaels wrote in his book that once he had a match, him and Marty Jannetty had a match with the Rougeau brothers, that was so early in the card, Hulk Hogan came up to him and said, "Now, how the hell am I supposed to follow that?" Not like angrily, but like a compliment-wise. And Shawn was like, "Now that's Hulk Hogan saying that to you," and that was at the height of Hulkamania.
Yeah, that's pretty. You know, the Rockers were famous for doing that. They never won the tag titles, and they never really made it to a big level. But a lot of people remember them, and they opened up a lot of cards with in a big way. And the Rougeaus did that too.
Right. I think a lot of people would argue, and I agree with them, that the Rockers are the best tag team from that era to never officially hold the belts.
I would say they're the best, period. I can't think of another team that's even close that's never won the tag titles.
Well, when you start saying that, you start getting into the debate about the Hart Foundation and Demolition. But I think clearly, the argument of, okay, the best to ever win the tag titles has got to be the Rockers. I mean, just so.
Yeah.
I mean, Shawn even said that. This is back when Shawn didn't have his complete reputation, but he was not the most well-liked guy. He said, there were actually some boys that felt sorry for him when they took away the tag titles because they knew they at least deserved it because of all the hard work they had done. And unfortunately, I don't know the entire story. The story I've always heard was Neidhart was leaving, so they had to get the belt off the Harts, and then Neidhart came back, and apparently Brett and Neidhart were like, well, wait, no, you weren't going to take the belt off us before, only because Jim's leaving, so now that he's staying, you should keep the belt on us. So apparently that's what happened, and unfortunately the Rockers never got that one reign they really did deserve.
Yeah, supposedly the excuse is during the match where the Rockers actually won the tag titles, the ring rope broke, and the whole match just went to hell. Like whatever they had planned for the match, the entire match just went to shit. And I've never actually seen it. I hear it's on the Shawn Michaels Heartbreak and Triumph DVD, but apparently the match is terrible. And they use that as the excuse. It's like, oh,
well, definitely because the problem is the ring rope. The one, it's not just one ring rope breaks. It's that they all just go real slack. So it kind of eliminates a lot of what they wanted to do. And Brett and Neidhart went for the heart attack. For people that don't remember, that's when Neidhart would lift up a guy and Brett would run off with the clothesline. And it just looks ridiculous because Brett has to short, turn around, and come back. You're like, why didn't he just run straight at him? Why do you have to run past? It's like, So I mean, that's what happened. Although although in the past we have seen situations where belts have changed at house shows with no real problem. So you do kind of wonder, A, why they didn't try to refilm it later on, or B, just do a house show title change if you really were that worried about it. So
yeah, I don't know, but I guess you could say Brett maybe screwed Shawn long before Shawn screwed Brett. So who knows? But
here's just my whole theory that Shawn and Brett will never admit to. I've always believed that Brett thought he was the best, but Shawn was the one guy that challenged him, and they didn't like it, and Brett didn't like that. Same way, the best football players like, the second best football player. So that happened, and Shawn got pissed off, and that was the first real little break in their relationship. And then they never patched it up, and things just steamrolled from there.
Maybe that's it. I don't know. We'll never know, I guess. But I don't know. What else is there to talk?
Shawn actually did say that his problem was more that Brett started mentioning Shawn's parents in a column that he wrote. Like, he said something to the effect of, the Heartbreak Kid character is clearly a homosexual. I do not know any two parents that would be proud to let their son play that. And Shawn got pissed off about that. And, Montreal happened, ladies and gentlemen. But it's okay. They're all best friends now. They're hugging each other.
Yeah. Cool.
Next week, ladies and gentlemen, Shane Douglas will make his return to the WWE, and he'll make up with Shawn.
Oh, yeah, that'll never happen.
And then Shawn will take him to a Wendy's, and he can get a classic triple with bacon.
And he can take him to some place where he can work on that farmer tan.
Yeah. And that's actually a story like that Shane Douglas tried to tell in the hardcore. What was it? It was a Forever Hardcore or something. The non-WWE rise and fall of ECW, and they were talking about a story where Scott Hall showed up at the ECW arena after he'd been let go from WCW, and Shane cut him off, and Scott was holding a Wendy's hamburger, and Shane Douglas made a real point to mention that. I'm like, why did he feel the need to mention that Scott Hall was holding a hamburger? Like one of those little random things you really didn't need to add to the story there of you confronting a guy that you felt made sure you could never succeed in the WWF. I mean,
he probably wanted the burger.
Yeah, that was probably it. I mean, I like Shane Douglas. I got a lot of respect for him, and I know he went through a hard time, but man, he looked horrible at Slammiversary.
He did. Daniels carried him to the best of his ability, but yeah, I watched that match. I was like, dude, it's over. You're done.
Didn't he hurt AJ, or was it that he hurt Daniels?
I don't think he hurt AJ. I think AJ just got hurt. I don't think it was anything Shane did. I just think AJ took a bad step or something.
Yeah, that probably doomed him. When AJ rarely, if ever, gets hurt, and he happens to be in the ring with Shane Douglas when he gets hurt.
Yeah.
It's like, But like I said, I actually do have a lot of respect for Shane Douglas, and if James were on here, he'd make a point to mention that he is the greatest ECW champion of all time.
Yeah, greatest ECW champion of all time. One of the most underrated mic workers of all time.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is This is not great. I'll have a memory like mine. I can remember all these stupid little quotes. It was they were actually trying to New Jack, and it was like that same DVD. And New Jack's just, Shane's great. Shane's just like the guy that will come out and go, fuck your mama, fuck your daddy, fuck your sister. And, it's just great because the fans will react to him. And they actually are intercutting that with promos, a clip of like Shane from XPW yelling that, Hulk Hogan wasn't fit to lick his balls, much less carry his bags.
a lot of Hulk Hogan ripping tonight.
Well, I mean, we do have the head of the Hulk Hogan fan club for the owner and host of the show, James Walsh, but
we do.
Yeah, like Hulk gets a lot of love here, so occasionally we got to have somebody come on and rip him, like Chris Hamrick. Which, if you're tuning in late, please go in and listen to that interview because it's a great one. And if you want to hear someone say the word "fuck" every 5 minutes, you'll listen to it for that reason too.
Yeah, it's great. I'm not being sarcastic either. I really do. It was really fun to listen to. But Hogan, he's one of those guys that seems to just cause an instant emotional reaction out of everybody, positive or negative. Everybody has like really strong opinions about Hulk Hogan.
Well, I mean that's what happens when you are that successful at anything in life. People will say the same thing. If I were to say Tom Brady. Some people will go, yeah, Tom Brady, love this guy, and you will want to stab his heart out because you're jealous.
I'm not jealous. What do I have to be jealous of? My team won the Super Bowl, beat him.
Yeah, but he has 3 Super Bowls. He'll probably win a 4th, and he has Gisele Bundchen.
By the way, I'm pissed at her. She said that if Tom Brady didn't win that Super Bowl, or if the Patriots didn't win that Super Bowl, that she would run through the streets of New York naked. I'm still waiting for your payoff there, Gisele.
Here's the thing. If someone runs naked through the streets of New York, that's really not all that shocking. That's just like Tuesday. They probably assume he's trying to get away from his wife who caught him in bed with somebody.
Maybe.
That's also what Tiger Woods calls a Tuesday, ironically.
Say what?
That's what Tiger Woods calls a Tuesday, too, ironically.
Yeah. Oh, Tiger, you crazy guy.
Like I listen to one of the radio stations I listen to. They will not let it go. They still are just making fun of him. Like they do like this thing called the joke of the day, and like somehow 9 times out of 10 lately they've managed to make it with Tiger somehow.
Huh.
Yeah. Or they'll mention him a lot, but it is kind of funny because you do have this guy that always portrays himself as the ultimate good guy, and then he hit a tree and a bunch of ladies fell out of his car.
It's like, man, talk about your life coming crashing down right in front of you. It's just, I kind of feel bad for him, but
yeah.
I mean, what he did was wrong, but it's like, wow, this just keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick, this may be our last show because, for all we know, Conan O'Brien might have to take over this show because NBC's throwing him off. So this could be our last show, man.
Fuck NBC. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Or here's just my suggestion. Have Conan go coach the Tennessee Volunteers because they're screwed now with Lane Kiffin at the USC. So let Conan go coach Tennessee. That way he can at least make people laugh as they suffer through a horrible season of football.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, that's terrible. I mean, Leno gets the low ratings and Conan gets punished for it? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, well, actually, he addressed it on his show last night. He said, I remember when I was a kid and I was watching The Tonight Show. John Carson said, that is so great, that is so great. And I swore to myself, someday I was going to host that show for 7 months.
Oh.
So I'm sure Conan is probably checking out the wonderful weather at Fox and ABC this time of year.
Oh, I'm sure. And I don't blame him, quite frankly, because I think that's ridiculous. But okay, now that we're talking about Conan O'Brien and Jay Leno, I don't know. Is there anything wrestling related left to talk about?
No, boy, I'm trying to think of something. I mean, we could just. Apparently. By the way, I was wrong last night when I told you who won the ECW title match, who won the shot at the ECW title. Some jackass was real funny to send in fake spoilers.
Oh, so it's not Vance Archer.
No, it's actually going to be Ezekiel Jackson.
Ezekiel Jackson. Okay.
Yeah. He was the Brian Kendrick's
bodyguard,
and now apparently he's William Regal's bodyguard. So, yes, the Christian William Regal feud will continue.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Great.
So Ezekiel Jackson is pretty much known for being a bodyguard and wearing the skimpiest thong ever on a black man.
Ugh. I'll tell you something I heard that was even worse. At the SmackDown tapings, apparently CM Punk and his new sidekick, Luke Gallows, or whatever his name is, apparently they're the #1 contenders to the tag team titles. Guess who they're jobbing to?
Break it down!
As if Punk hasn't been jobbed out enough, now he has to lose the DX. That's just beautiful.
How much you just want to bet that, like, Triple H has had this planned out for a while? Like, okay, now we got the tag belts. Now it's time to really make fun of that CM Punk guy.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
PP Punk pants.
I would not be surprised if they did that.
Because Triple H, he'll probably think that that's funny as Bob Barker's the Ultimate Hulk, the Incredible Hulk.
Or what's a Hobbit? I don't know what a Hobbit is.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. Way to go, Triple H. You know, for the love of God, Triple H, we hate you so much.
We do indeed.
Yeah, I know somebody could go, well, he was a main eventer before he married Stephanie. It's like, yeah, so what? Guess what? Doesn't mean they should stay a main eventer.
No, you can't convince me that, where was I going? You can't convince me that he would still be on top now if he wasn't married to Stephanie. I'm sorry. There's just no way that, and him being Superstar of the Decade does not speak for the quality of his work.
Right. Well, I mean, it's kind of like, yeah, he is Superstar of the Decade only because he killed off everybody else that could have potentially done it. You know, or it's a guy like Cena who never really achieved. I mean, Rob Van Dam got so frustrated with this business that he would rather run a comic shop than wrestle professionally. You know, how disappointing is that? You know, think how great RVD was, and yet he got so frustrated with the bullshit the wrestling business about all the politics that he left this business. And you know, yeah, he hasn't come back partly because of his wife being sick, which, you know, I can respect him for that. But it's like, you know, he walked away, I think, more because he hated the politics in this business.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you want to talk about somebody that got screwed over, and I don't think RVD was the most talented guy in the world, but you can't deny that he was mad over in 2001 and 2002. And for him to not get a world title shot or to get a world title reign much sooner than he did is just ridiculous. Like, 2006, it took all the way to 2006 for him to win the world title.
Well, I mean, Raven said it best. He was talking about the invasion. He said, the only guy on the invasion side that got over was Rob.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's absolutely true. And God. Yeah, here's the thing. I mean, look at Jericho. How many times, you know, Triple H, you know, does not like Chris Jericho. For people that do not that want to doubt that, it's like, just look at how Triple H got him booked during their feud for the undisputed title.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Jericho is picking up dog crap. You know what? There's a term in, like, Westerns for called a dog heel, which, okay, that's the term for, like, the lowest bad guy, the bad guy that's going to get caught first because he's the most useless. That's what they turned Chris Jericho, the undisputed world champion, into.
Basically.
I mean,
it was awful. I mean, there's no other explanation for it. And I've said it again, I don't think Jericho has ever beat Triple H at anything. Him and Benoit took the tag titles away from Austin and Triple H, but Austin was the one that took the pin from Benoit, so, you know, Jericho didn't beat Triple H. And there's that one match they had where Jericho won, but the win was erased completely.
Right, and do they ever reference that anymore?
No, well, I mean, there's no need to.
Right, but I mean, they didn't even really reference it that much when it happened. And they
Yeah, it kind of was like, that was it, wasn't it?
Yeah, Triple H came out and said, it never happened. And I guess it never did.
I think it was one of the best moments in Raw history. It's a shame that they didn't play it up more. But whatever. I mean, what are you going to do? I'll say it again. If Sheamus and Triple H is the main event at WrestleMania, I am not ordering WrestleMania. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous that he can actually pick that match as his personal WrestleMania match. I cannot believe that would be allowed.
I mean, it goes back to another thing we said a lot. For the longest time, we begged for someone to make a new star. And they did, but they picked the guy who really isn't ready. I mean, Sheamus, I think, has the potential, if you booked him correctly, to someday be WWE champion and hold it correctly. Right now, I feel like, okay, he's going to win the title, he's going to lose the title, and then he's probably going to fade into obscurity.
Probably. I think everybody's expecting that.
I mean, where does it... I mean, it's just...
And I'll tell you what, going back to TNA, I mean, you watch both shows on that Monday night. Which world champion came off better in your eyes?
The guy that retained his title in a great match. I mean, AJ Styles looked better. I think anybody could have been TNA World Champion. I think looked better than Sheamus that night.
Pretty much. I mean, I'm like, I didn't. Once again, I didn't watch all of Raw, but didn't Sheamus' squash match against Evan Bourne go head to head with the AJ Angle match?
I'm not entirely sure because I didn't watch Raw at all that night. And no, ladies and gentlemen, I have not watched it. I did not give a crap to watch that Raw. I don't know. To me, it did not happen. But, probably. I mean, yeah, I could see them being arrogant enough to do that. I think they tried to schedule Maurice to go head-to-head with the Knockout title match, so.
Yeah, well, once again, I mean, I don't care who gets the higher rating or not. The WWE Divas do not measure up to the TNA Knockouts in any way. It's just, look at the tournament brackets for this Divas tournament. You can see the world of difference. Compare these tournament brackets and compare it to what TNA did on New Year's Eve.
Right. And here's another thing. I mean, you look at Raw, of that Divas title tournament, there were only really two with a lot of talent, Jillian and Gail Kim. They met in the first round. Jillian's gone, so, okay, we're screwed. Yeah, I mean, they're not going to let Gail Kim have it.
No, Gail's not going to win it. It's going to be Maurice.
And she is, and then people act like, oh, she's, well, you know what, I hate people that don't watch wrestling, don't watch TNA at all, but they just presume because that person happens to watch WWE, they have to be better than anyone in TNA. Because that's what I always hear, that Maurice is better than Angelina Love. And, by the way, Patrick, the sun comes out tomorrow.
Yes. Yes, Angelina comes back to TNA tomorrow night, and I couldn't be happier. I was kind of expecting them to pull the trigger on that at the live show, but I'm just happy to have her back because I think the Knockouts have missed having her there.
Definitely. I mean, and you said it best. It's like that Beatles song, Here Comes the Sun. It's like, yes, it does.
Yep. And it is actually about midnight, and we're running out of time here, so is there any last thing you want to say before we go?
Watch TNA Impact tomorrow. Watch Genesis on Sunday, and, watch the Cardinals beat the Saints.
I hope so, too. So, all right, good night, everybody. For James Walsh, keeping it real. I don't know how to close this thing, so just good night. Whatever.
This is Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Oh, for us.
Featuring the interactive interview.
Interactive interview.
Interactive interview.
Interactive interview.
Interactive interview.
Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Oh, yeah.
Formerly The Blaze.
The Blaze.
The Blaze. The Blaze.
The Blaze.
The Blaze.
The Blaze.
The Blaze.
The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze rock.
Yo, Maniacs, so what you gonna do when a Blaze of Maniac runs wild on you?
On WrestlingEpicenter.com.
Wrestling Epicenter.
Wrestling
Epicenter. Wrestling
Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter. The Wrestling Epicenter. Don't get off.
And now we shamelessly name drop from our history.
The Wrestling Epicenter would like to apologize for the following.
All right, everybody. Viva la raza. Viva la raza.
Hey, y'all.
Hello, ladies.
Hey, guys. We had a lovely conversation. First lady. Absolutely. Oh, look at me. She's so kooky.
Be there. Where else?
Interactive Wrestling Radio. Wrestling
Epicenter.
Oh, my God. You win. Wow. Being interactive.
Whoa. I just got some listen. I was not shooting. Yeah, I almost missed my pants. Breaking neck. I got 2 words for you. I've heard a lot about you guys. Let's go. Excuse my language. Getting over the shot. Plenty of no. Into the many.
No nerves.
That was great. It's going to be cool. Woo. What it's all about. The purest point of view. The living legend. Arrogant.
You're listening to me.
Instead of statement, I'm talking to you.
So glad to leave without you.
Yeah.
In the land of extreme.
Testify. Nevermore. Interactive interview. I'm not just the best. Interactive interview with a plastic
You
head.
earned the right.
Nobody. You better keep listening. Thank you very much. Controversy creates cash. Professional wrestling.
Made in the USA, baby.
Memphis wrestling. The guy on fire. I'm not
We were sexy.
What a show.
The one and only.
Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Wrestling
Epicenter. Interactive interview. We took care of the business. This isn't ballet. We are huge with this whole. You're where it's at. You better recognize who's the best. Make sure to tune in each and every week. I'll come out of your computer. Knock down your door and turn it on for you. Or else I'm going to kick your stinking teeth in. And that's the bottom line. Have a nice day.
It's showtime!
Don't forget to like and subscribe.